Yeah, one time. Yeah, they think they can write it down.
You'll take your seats, please. We'll come to order. Always an adventure in audiovisuals. So we're using this little mic. Can you hear me? Okay. This thing is continuing to fail me. I know we're all working on the exercise on the wall, but if you could come to quiet, we'll get going with the meeting. So welcome to November, long pants season, regrettably. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. And if you haven't checked in the Slido, the slide is gone, but hopefully you've all slid in. Okay. I'd like for an approval of the agenda, please. Was there an approval of this lovely agenda? Thank you. And second? Thank you. All in favor? Thanks. Forgot the glasses tonight, of course. So, minutes of the October meeting we've all read. Will there be a motion to approve the minutes from the October meeting? Carly, second. All in favor? Thank you. the things we have to do to get started here. Anyone new tonight? I think that I see some faces that I don't recognize. Yes. Which neighborhood, sir?
Twin Palms.
Twin Palms,
Historic Transport Neighborhood.
HTC. Any other new visitors? Yes, ma'am. Sunrise Sonora. Sir? Great, welcome. Ned, you raised your hand, but you've been here. All right, great. Well, please come back again. We need a bigger room soon. That's a good sign. One thing I continue to forget to put on the agenda, our neighborhood updates, and I know Carlene, you had something, so, right, why don't you go ahead?
I just want to thank the city for answering our call. We've got that development going on Matthew, and the trucks were coming in onto Matthew, cutting across Linden where the school bus stops with the kids. So they went out and talked to them, got a promise that they wouldn't do anything when the bus is there in the morning or the afternoon. And then Flynn got back and said, you're right, the road is filthy dirty. So they made sure they were coming out and cleaning it every day. Never seen Matthew look that good.
All right.
Spring Rock.
The power of 1 PS. Tell everybody, tell all your friends. Thank you for sharing that. Any other neighborhood updates that we don't know about and should? Success stories, problems? Okay, good. No news is good news. All right, well, thank you. Please keep us up to date on things that we obviously don't know about. Okay, moving on. We'll have the mayor come and speak. Mr. Bernstein.
I have to use that? Can I just yell?
Good choice.
Your choice. How about it?
Loud.
I can yell.
Can you hear back there?
Can you hear me?
No.
We can.
Just saying.
There with that
We
idea.
can hear you, Mayor.
Put a new mic in the budget, please.
Yeah.
There. Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
No. So? Yeah? Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
There. Okay. I can't do this. All right. Let's see. So we are coming to the end of our year. So we have a couple more council meetings, but I'm going to report back on what's happened since last time. I wanted to mention something in the October meeting. We had Fine Food Bank does an annual report to the city, and it's kind of a tough number to hear, but 15% of our residents are considered food insecure. 15%. So when you hear about things like the center has a food bank or other types of things, it's important that we as a community help support them. Speaking of which, the center just moved their food bank to a new building, which is on East Alejo, which is a newly expanded, bigger building to help serve more of our residents. We also, at October meeting, we denied an appeal to, the Planning Commission approved a minor modification for Prescott Preserve to move forward. It was appealed by Desert Chapel and one of the other neighboring HOAs. The council denied the appeal, so that is moving forward with the minor modification. They still have to deal with some legal issues with the HOA near them, but this helps them potentially get the grant for their the $7 million grant they've been getting to actually fix up Prescott Preserve. I also, I didn't go to the October 24th meeting, so I was in Japan for the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association, which is very exciting. They're coming to Palm Springs next year, and that's why I was there, along with Visit Greater Palm Springs. But they had representatives from 50 different countries, and really diverse, like Bhutan and Sri Lanka and Nepal. And it was very interesting because a lot of them were talking about the importance of communities showing that other diverse people are welcome, and how many places don't do that. So at the end of the convention, when we started promoting Palm Springs next year, Visit Greater Palm Springs showed a lot of our promotion. And I will tell you, like a dozen people from all over came up to us and said, That is an incredible place. We feel like we're welcome in Palm Springs. And so it's an interesting, they'll be here next October. I think a couple thousand people, but these are people with worldwide influence. So it'll be great for the city. We did have the State of the City. I don't know if anybody went to that. I'm going to repeat the whole thing verbatim.
Including the dancing?
Including the dancing.
I did not do dance. I actually did not. Yeah. So we talked about a lot of great things in our city, a lot of big plans going on. This has been the year of our master plan. So parks, master plan, library master plan, economic development, convention center. We have a broadband master plan, parks. So it's been a lot going on. And we also talked about our financial situation, which we know we're coming off the COVID bubble, but things are still pretty good in our city. And a lot of our revenue comes from TOT. And now that the Thompson Hotel is opened, that should really help us. And we have 200 other rooms that are in the process of being renovated to help increase our TOT. And then I also talked about other types of activities that we're really trying to focus in sort of our drive our economy. We talked about arts and culture, which I've talked about a lot here. And next year, obviously, we have the Plaza Theater opening, but Palm Springs is really becoming this arts and culture destination. So we don't need to come here for a particular event. You can come to Palm Springs and see great museums, great theater, great music. It's an interesting thing that we actually have a whole group of conventions coming here because of the Agua Caliente Cultural Museum. So I think this week one is there's a tribal law one that comes here, and there's so they're in town, but they're holding the convention in Palm Springs because of the cultural center. So that's good news. Lots of big openings. This Thursday is the groundbreaking for the College of the Desert in Palm Springs. So that is really big news. They're planning their first students in 2027. And they're planning to open with 2 bachelor's degree programs. I think I've mentioned this before, the architecture in conjunction with Cal Poly with a focus on modernism, and then casino gaming, which is one of only 3 such programs in the whole country, and the only one in California, and the only one in the country that has a tribal element. And obviously there's hundreds of tribes that do gaming. So this now makes our community college into a destination college in a lot of ways. So I think that is great for the future of our city. And the other thing I talked about, because we're working on Convention Center Master Plan, which is something that is going to be a huge project over several years. We're just in the beginning phases. But part of the plan that we're looking at is really the connectivity from the convention center to downtown. Because people who come to conventions and conferences want a sense of place, they want to know what community they're in, and we as a community want them to be out in our local businesses and restaurants. So we're working on this plan where we're creating this grid really from Caballeros to Palm Canyon, Tockwitz to Alejo, that becomes a walkable, nice area. So you now not only connect all the hotels like the Thompson, the Kimpton, and the Renaissance, and the Dream Hotel, and other ones, you also connect the attractions like the casino and the cultural center and the spa and the museum. And then you start to attract a lot of the residential places like Seoul and other ones where those communities like to walk to downtown. So you need beautification, shade, art, wayfinding. And that's basically what you need to create a walkable downtown. So that's sort of part of the plan now that's going on. We do have a council meeting on Thursday. We had a closed meeting session last week that is focused on Section 14. So that obviously has been a big topic. This will be the first time we've done an open session in quite a while. So that'll be this Thursday. And then we have our last meeting before the changeover will be November 21st. And that'll be sort of the last regular business meeting of the year. The December 12th meeting will be the changeover. to the new mayor, the new mayor pro tem, and our new council member, David Reddy, who's here. And right now Naomi Soto from District 4. And then we'll be naming the new mayor and mayor pro tem, unless I hold an insurrection. In which case, I'm not leaving. We also, I just want to point out, we had some great events. So we had the Modernism Week Fall Preview, which happened in October, which was the biggest one that they've had ever, which is a good sign. Next year is the 20th anniversary of the main Modernism Week. So there's planning some really great stuff for that. We did have, obviously, Halloween and Leather Pride were big, and then Pride, which, there were 200,000 people, I think. We had incredible security thanks to our police force and our fire department, the public safety. I don't think there was any incidents as far as I heard, any real incidents.
Nope.
I mean, in this day and age, to have that many people at a big event and with tensions running high, it's really kind of amazing. And thanks to our public safety for keeping us safe. And it was really fun. I mean, I don't know if anybody experienced Pride, but it's a great time in our city. We also opened last month Vista Sunrise 2, which is the second affordable housing unit to open this year. This is the one that's on the DAP campus, which is, they now have 140 housing units on that campus. And this was the Monarch opened earlier this year, and Aloe, Palm Canyon is still scheduled for next year. So we're kind of having a lot of those all at once, which is great. We also had the big opening for the Demuth Park Playground. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to see it. It is the second of like a lot of great playgrounds. The first was Victoria Park. And then I think next is Baristo and Ruth Hardy and then James O. Jessup. So we'll have these great new parks, and they also have spaces for kids with mobility issues, with neurodiversity issues, and most importantly, they're shaded. So you can get hundreds of kids under the shade, which we have not always had. Measure J passed, thanks to efforts of NPS. So this is really an important thing, and this will help us now go out and get the bond measure for the library renovation, eventually for the fire station relocation and convention center, hopefully, when that goes forward. So this really secures our financial future, and thank you to the residents who voted on that. The other thing I want to mention recently, people know that we have a sister city with San Miguel de Allende.
Yeah.
Well, we do. Yeah. So we had the first real exchange this time. They came here. They had a delegation of 13 people. They did a couple different things. One of the most amazing things on Friday, our students from Vista Del Monte Elementary School, which is our dual language immersion, and one of their schools in San Miguel, they worked on these, I can't remember the name of it. It's a heart, a tin heart that they do in Mexican art. Anybody can remember the name? What is it?
Milagros, yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's something like maybe that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Milagros,
but in the
yeah.
heart, you put like things that you like. And so what's in your heart? So we had all the kids over the course of a week. They zoomed back and forth with the school in San Miguel. And then on Friday, each kid presented their final heart on Zoom to the kids in San Miguel. And then all the kids in San Miguel presented it to our students. And they did it in Spanish and English. So it was really great. So they did that. Yep. They were on Zoom. The problem is with a lot of the kids, it's hard to get visas to come here. So they did it on Zoom. But they spent the whole week doing this back and forth. And it's really it was really a great program. And they learned about each other's country and cultures. They also did, right now they have a cocktail culture thing that's going on. So they have their restaurants gave us recipes for cocktails. You'll find them at 849 now. And they're sort of these very famous San Miguel cocktails. And then they did a food tasting at the Food and Wine Festival in Palm Springs this past weekend, which was great. And so another great story about Only in Palm Springs. So the 2 days before, they realized they don't have a kitchen to prep all the food that they're going to be serving at the festival. So called up COD, COD has a prep kitchen. They had all the chefs come down to that prep kitchen. They said, we've got all the students here to help you prep. They spent 10 hours on Friday, helping them prep. And then all weekend, these kids worked with the real chefs at the Food and Wine Festival. And then at the end, the chef said, listen, most of our big restaurants are in hotels. If anyone wants to come down for 2 weeks, you can intern there. We'll put you up and you can work in one of our restaurants. So it was a real sister city coming to fruition. So that was great. I think that's it. I think Mike Villegas told me I couldn't talk too long, so I have to finish now. Yeah. And that's my report. Any questions? Yes.
Can I ask you please, driving on Indian Avenue, the Agua Caliente Museum is absolutely stunning. But then you look across the street to the old Town and Country Center, what's happening there?
Well, as you may know, I have a store in the Town and Country Center, so so if you look at the front, it looks actually very good. That was always the backside, which is unfortunate of it. And the building that's in the back is still vacant. And it's a difficult one. It's a very large building, I think about 17,000 square feet. It really, for a business to open, is millions of dollars. So that's the reason why there's been a delay. I think there is people actively interested in doing it, which would help the appearance of it and also really help the parking lot. And as part of this whole connectivity that I was talking about before, obviously going through the cultural center, the casino, into our downtown area, that's a key area to look at. So that's in the works, hopefully soon, but it's going to be a while.
Because it looks, like I say, the museum, the Indians, they have a stunning museum, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then you look across the street at the Town and Country Center, and it's like, haven't they done anything with that yet?
No.
It's I realize that's the backside, but there are like retail stores faced that way. And then there's the one building that I'm not quite sure.
Somebody needs to come in with $10 million to want to open a business, is what it is. I actually do think it will happen. Because now that we're seeing a lot more activity in this area. So. Anything else?
You mentioned the Dream Hotel. Is that being worked on?
They're having a groundbreaking, I think is scheduled, well, this is their second groundbreaking, but it is scheduled for December 10th. They do have the first part of it. They have financing for it because the guy who owns the Dream brand sold it to Hyatt and he is self-financing the first part. Our deal with the Dream is that before they can go vertical, each section they have to approve financing before, so we can't have a half-built structure. They're going to start, the first part is going to be the, utilities and all of that first, and then they plan to go vertical 25 and open, they said, in end of 26. So,
Wow.
Let's see, but, hopefully. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Scott, have you finished your dessert? We'll have you up.
A fourth of a cookie for lunch.
Okay.
Cool. Aw. Nothing but trouble with this guy.
Keeping an eye on me. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I know a lot of people. I'm Scott Stiles, city manager. Was anybody here listening to music in 1979?
Here? Not here.
Who was listening to music in 1979? Now, I got to tell you something. So we had over Pride Weekend, we had the group Sister Sledge.
Oh, yeah.
We Are Family.
Yeah.
They were the headliner. I was there. The mayor actually got me backstage to meet them. That was thrilling for me. That was right in my wheelhouse. But you all know Tom and Bill, so I'm going to call them out. Our sign language interpreters. So you see them, they're sitting there, they're doing their sign language, they're doing their thing. Have you ever seen them in action during a concert?
No.
See, Bill's laughing at me now because he's not just doing sign language. He's got the groove going now. He's dancing, he's signing, he's doing his thing. It was, I'm really impressed with Bill. I had to call him out. Thank you.
Yay.
So yeah, I was really impressed. Just a couple things from my end. I recently hired a new director of our Parks and Rec department, and I would love, with 1PS's permission, I'd love to bring him maybe to our next meeting and introduce him to this group. I'm really excited. His name's Nick Gonzalez. He's from the city of Ontario. He's been running their Parks and Rec department for a while. He's very familiar with Palm Springs. He and his partner come out here. They have a home here part-time. He's wanted to come out here. And my God, they've got a little dog. So, that's all, the qualification he needed. If you have a dog, you hit everything. So Nick will be starting with us on December 8th. He's running a big Parks and Rec department right now that's actually a little bigger than ours. And he's done a lot of great stuff. He's worked on master plans. He's going to be able to really pick up the pace with what we've been doing. And I'm really excited to having him joining our team. So what I'd like to do, Mr. President, is bring him and, introduce him to everybody. We have, and then the second thing I want to skip that for the end. Jeffrey, as usual, covers almost everything. A navigation center is opening and opening and opening, and we are now Martha's Village and Kitchen. I've been trying to give you updates all along the way at each of these meetings. They are now moving people into the modular units, so it's been a great help to the folks that need housing. They need to get off the street. It's been a great help to our police officers who are trying to provide services for folks. So the facility is getting started, and I'll report back to you more as we go about, statistics and how they're doing and what's going on. So we're really excited about that. We had a busy year. Maybe you can have the fire chief talk about this a little bit with our firefighters, really working with all the neighborhoods around the western and southern periphery of the city with doing brush clearance and other things to kind of keep people safe. You've been reading about the mountain fire in Ventura and other places, and it's just no joke. They're going to have some of their highest Santa Ana winds that they've had in years in LA County and Orange County. It comes through. So we've had some personnel, I think, that are going to help support some of those fire efforts. So great thanks to all of our firefighters for that work. As the mayor mentioned, we really had a terrific weekend for Pride Weekend. I think I talked to Mayor Pro Tem Ron DeHart, and he said we had some of the largest crowds that he's ever seen for Pride Weekend. Brings a tremendous amount of revenue to the city and really adds to the vibrancy of our city. We had not a single arrest the whole weekend. It was a much cooler weekend than the year before. Very just one or two, heat emergency things. So the whole weekend was just a smashing success. So we were really thrilled with that. And a lot of our departments, fire, police, parks and recreation, streets, and everybody puts a tremendous amount of work. And then they turn right around and put it all together. Just the other day for our Veterans Day parade that happened on Monday, just yesterday. So they are really, they've got a lot of stuff going on all the time. You're going to see, you can go on our Engage Palm Springs website, and you can see we're starting the whole slurry sealing process for residential streets. So council has approved a big increase in funding for street and slurry sealing, street renovation. So you can go on Engage Palm Springs. There's a huge long list of the streets that are going to be getting slurry sealing. I know you're all going to go and see if my street's on it. We have a lot of streets in Palm Springs, but we're putting a lot of effort into that. And you're going to see a lot of our streets on that list. And then, just as Jeffrey indicated, 2025 is just going to be I listened to his State of the City speech, and he got me more and more nervous, all the things he was talking about. And I was like, slow down, Mr. Mayor. So we've got a lot of stuff going on: airport, convention center, library, fire station, a million things going on. And I'd be remiss, just the last thing that I wanted to say maybe is, as city manager, Jeffrey has been, Mayor Bernstein has been a great partner of mine over the past year. So we have spent more time on the phone together, texting each other, calling each other late at night, early in the morning. And you all know he's been at every one of these meetings. He's updating everybody. He's very diligent about it. And he's just going to be, I'm going to miss him as mayor. I'm looking forward to working with Mayor DeHart, certainly, but he'll still be on council. But let's give him a round of applause. No questions.
Any questions?
Yes.
I saw you at the Preservation Awards.
Oh, yes, I was there.
I just wanted to get your reaction in terms of what you thought about that. I mean, obviously the airport project was referenced, the library was referenced.
Yeah, I was there primarily. I really wanted to be there to support our two historic preservation officers, Kim Lyon, who's getting ready to retire. He's just got a fantastic career in protecting the built environment that's so important to all of us. Sarah Yoon, who does all the historic research for us. And, they received an award to two of our city employees for all the great work they've done over the years. Now, the Preservation Society, they're not always pleased with everything the city is doing. So, but it's important to be there and make sure I understand all points of view. And, not everybody agrees on what's going on with the Maryland statue or exactly how we should modernize our airport going forward. We want to protect the beauty and the architecture of our airport. We're also trying to modernize it and figure out how do we prepare for the future with the growth that's coming, whether we're really liking it or not. So, those are all things that are really important to the modernism and preservation folks. So I was happy to be there to kind of hear and just make sure I understand everything. So it was good. It was a great event.
Guess that's all for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So now it's time to get energized because we have an energy ordinance soon. And so Juliet, who's coming this way, is going to give us some time on that. Great. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, so hi everyone. Hi. Yes. I know we're a little behind schedule. Don't worry, you guys have sustainability. I will try to get this as quick as possible. So you guys are thank you for everyone who participated in the Post-its in the back. You guys are probably wondering, what does sustainability want to know about my house? So with that, we're going to be talking about a potential ordinance that we're going to be talking about. And so what this ordinance is doing is that if any residents or homeowners that would be filing for permits for these for the following would be required to follow special guidelines and energy efficient goals based on their home's age/project value. And okay, so this is going to be the breakdown of this table. I know it looks a little kind of like, what are these numbers? What are they saying? We're going to have a clearer example on the next slide. But so based on the project value and your home, you'll be required to do these measures. And I will not bore you guys with all the details or all the measures. So I wanted to move on to the next slide. So these are the additional measures on photos because I personally like to look at things visually than on words. So you will see that these are the additional measures, except the LED. That would be a mandatory measure, and this would require you to have LED light bulbs at your homes, which I hope majority of you guys already have. But additional measures include like heat pumps, wall insulations, and there are points associated with each measures, and I can explain more of how those points came to be, but we did use a program, Cost Effective Explorer, that will break down why those points are associated with each measure. So this is more of a simpler version. So for example, if you're a homeowner and you have a home that's built in 1968 and you apply for an electric service panel upgrade and it costs about $15K. So if you follow the table right now, so your home is pre-1978 and it is $15K. So you're in that little bracket right there. So you would be required to do LED light bulbs and water heating package. But if you've already done LED light bulbs, you guys already have that. You don't have to necessarily required to do LED if you already have those. And you might think water heating package, does this girl want me to replace my whole water heater? No. So with this one, this would require you to insulate your water heater to lose. So it would require you to insulate the pipes and also install low flow faucets. And this would be able to save you a lot on your heating package because less heat is escaping through those installations. And this would cost additional $200 to $400, depending if you've already done these measures. So this ordinance is focusing on single family homes because majority of the residential buildings here in Palm Springs are single family. So these are the exemptions within this ordinance. And you'll see, again, I want to emphasize this is all going to be, the ordinance is going to be focusing on single family homes. And these are going to be the exempt from this ordinance. And you're probably reason why we would want this ordinance. So one, to save money over time. I don't know anyone here who likes the high energy bills. I personally don't. My parents don't. So with these upgrades, you're able to save a lot of money over time. And also this will be supporting California and Palm Springs climate goals. This was actually a suggested measures within our climate action plan back in 2013. And also it will improve comfort and air quality. If you guys didn't know, we had an additional 30 days of over 110 degrees this summer, which is an extra month, super hot. And so with these measures, you're just gonna have a more comfortable home and you're better prepared for the weather in the future.
When's this roll out?
Pending. So we will see when we would like to bring this to the city council. We're still working on that. We just want to be able to prepare and have programs to assist a lot of the homeowners with this. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And if you would like us to talk to your neighborhoods, we'd also love to do that too.
We have a question here.
Will this be on Engage Palm Springs if we missed something here?
Correct. We will be putting it, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We will be putting it on Engage. Today.
No.
No. Okay, sorry. We will be putting it on.
Yeah, fun fact, I have to pull out the rock band voice for this, sorry. So we will be putting it on Engage. We're kind of we have what we think is a pretty solid idea, but we want to hear from other folks about where our idea is good and bad right now. So we'll put it up on Engage. We've got the boards in the back that are helping us understand what kinds of support measures people will need. But also if you're really into this stuff, like you see this right now and you're like, wow, that sounds cool. Please email us or talk to one of us if you'd like to, talk more about it. Yes.
What about those of us on solar?
Do you want to answer that question?
For people who already have some.
For those who have solar and you trigger any of these, like any future renovations, and you would have to trigger this, and you already have your solars, depending on which bracket. Depending on that table to your left, solar already has a certain points associated with it. And so if you're, for example, a separate permit that you have requires you to do 16 points, and the solar panel I think is 16 or 17 points, you wouldn't have to do any additional measures at all since you already have that solar.
Yeah, so you would get credit for points you've already earned. But this point system will make more sense when we look at it on Engage Palm Springs in about a month. You can take a closer look.
So this is new build and remodel.
Remodel only. So new build is mostly captured under the California Energy Code, which is getting stronger and stronger all the time. Like the 2025, the goal here is to get these older buildings pretty close to the current energy code. But because they were built in some cases before the energy code, a lot of them are pretty leaky and not very well insulated. So I'm trying to help people get those up to code.
I'm not just clear on the assistance. Is it a monetary assistance you folks can consider for each project? Suppose you mentioned that electrical panel, $15,000. If I don't have $15,000 in my pocket, what I to do this? You mentioned the word assistance. Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yes. Actually, with the feedback that you guys are providing in the post-its in the back, also if you guys, we're also learning to talk to the community and see what kind of assistance programs they would want to. If that is monetary value, then that's something that we would be considering. Or there's other programs like direct installment. So these are things that we are considering, and we would love to have anyone's feedback if they are interested in that.
So if you think that financial assistance would help you do some of these things, let us know. That's helpful for us to know.
Kind of like the
Big items,
FIDEP program.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some major stuff up there that requires a lot of money.
Sure.
You know?
And I just want to emphasize also too, the work would be triggered when you're already doing work. So the idea here is not to cause you to do work just, out of nowhere. Like say, for example, you're upgrading your HVAC, then you would, based on the value of that HVAC, you would look at some of these additional things. And I agree, some of those additional things may be expensive. And so there are state and federal incentives, and maybe there are some ways that we can also add a difference here. But it's helpful for us to know which are the things in people's experience that are the most difficult to do. Some of these things like the water heating installation, relatively straightforward. If you're already doing a 15K project, maybe you can kind of work it into the budget. But for some of these other things, it's helpful for us to know where people face challenges.
So, sorry. So one of the chat, you said HVAC. So the HVAC systems, if you're full time, don't last. Right? They have to be replaced. So are you saying that if that happens, then there'll be additional work people have to do? Yes. But if it's just a replacement.
So there is an exemption for if you're doing a repair. So if you're repairing your HVAC, it wouldn't trigger something like this, right? It's usually if like your compressor's gone or something like that. So basically the goal here would be to make sure that you're getting that best energy efficient HVAC, or if you want to get your points in a totally different way, you want to put in a new stove or something because you're like, oh, I've been meaning to do it anyway. Let me just do it both at the same time. I wouldn't personally choose to do that, but maybe somebody would. Basically the goal here would be to guide you to get that most efficient version of that HVAC. So it's not necessarily HVAC, then I also have to redo my roof. It's HVAC and let me get those extra points by doing a better HVAC. Does that make sense? And like maybe I'm gonna look at my ductwork at the same time, maybe I'm gonna look at my insulation at the same time, as it makes sense. Does that help?
It does. It's
Okay.
just one of those items.
Right.
That
goes a lot.
they die.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I know.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Peter Sipkins, our nominating committee chair, who speaks once a year, has a report for us tonight.
Former chair.
Of course.
Self-introduce.
Thanks, Chris, for that wonderful introduction. As you know, my name is Peter Sipkins, and at one time I was the chair of this organization. As many of you may know, the board of directors of 1PS consists of 11 people. This is the time of year when we have first the reporting of the nominations committee, and then in December, the actual election of the new directors, or of all of the directors. Fortunately, this year, 9 of the 11 directors have agreed to remain on the board. So that leaves 2 vacancies. And let me give props to the 2 who are not staying on the board. One, Ardeen Thompson, was a board member for many years, a great volunteer for the organization, and she moved out of town after her husband died and is now living with family. Obviously, she's out of the state and can no longer be involved. The second, Megan Rodriguez Hernandez, about 2 or 3 months ago, had her first child, and she decided that raising that baby was more important at present than being in this room. And so she's been asked to be off the board for a while. So both of them, I want to give props to both of them. Both of them were wonderful members of the board, and they served this organization very well. So we need to find 2 new members of the board, and I've been able to, with the help of many people, come up with a couple of names that I want to introduce you to tonight. One is Dan Fast. Dan Fast is originally from Seattle. He lived in LA for a long time. He has lived here for many years, and he has been practicing psychiatry for 45 years. He is slowly retiring. He served as many years as the chairperson of Araby Cove, one of the neighborhoods in 1PS. And he cannot be here tonight because he's on a trip with his husband, I think, in Africa. The second new nominee is Corinne Griswold. Many of you know Corinne because a couple of months ago, I believe, she gave the report on the Gene Autry neighborhood. Very well done. She has been involved in this organization herself for over 10 years. She served as the head of the Gene Autry, the chairperson of Gene Autry neighborhood for many years. She is currently the secretary of the Gene Autry neighborhood. She's been a great volunteer in her own stead, this year helping out in the home tour, and she also runs or helps run the admission desk and giving out the tickets for people at the 1PS picnic and the City of Palm Springs picnic in March. So those are the 2 new nominees. I will introduce the other 9 to you. Chris Reitz has agreed to remain as the chair next year. Kate Castle, who you know is sitting to Chris's left, is dealing with a family issue in San Francisco. And bless her heart, she comes down for all of these meetings. But being on the executive committee of this organization is too much of a toll on her. And so she is asked to remain on the board, but not to remain as an officer. So for vice chair next year, Tim Scheffler has agreed to serve in that capacity. Tim is sitting right in front of me. Patrick Stonebreaker has agreed to remain as the secretary.